and it's taken us a while to build our program, but we're having meaningful games in February, games that are of significance for our conference tournament, of significance for our placing within the regular season. And so I felt relieved. I felt happy for our team because of the way that they played in the second half. And but my biggest emotion was relieved.
So the situation, as you talk about playing meaningful games here in February and hopefully in March as well, you guys are 8-8. Do you want to lay out the complete standings here? Because do you know all of them? Can you organize that for us a little bit?
But I know if I can, I know you can.
I'll try and step in.
Coastal, of course, got beat last night, so they are 15-1, I think, in the league, and have clinched first place. Liberty is in second, and then it's a jumble from there. Four teams could finish anywhere from third to seventh, and we are one of those teams. And we are half a game out of third place, and tied for fourth with Winthrop and VMI. And VMI has come on strong the last few games, winning three in a row. After a tough beach road trip, after we played them and Coastal played them, they haven't lost since the trip down here, and they've put themselves in a position to be competitive for a home tournament game also. Winthrop is 8-8, and we're 8-8. And so we're in a great position, one that is exciting to be in, and one that we will have a lot of enthusiasm as we fight for this home tournament game.
Only two more conference games to go. Of course, you have the Bracket Buster on Saturday against UNC Wilmington. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this show. We're at Zaxby's in North Charleston. This is the Barclay Radebaugh program. My name's Andrew Allegretta. How about the tiebreakers, too? It's a dicey little situation, but you guys and us are in a pretty good spot at the moment.
Right. If we win our next two games, we're guaranteed third, because that would mean beating Coastal Carolina, which would trump all tiebreakers. Nobody but us in the upper echelon of the league would have beaten Coastal Carolina, unless UNC Asheville is able to do it next Tuesday at Coastal, which is doubtful. So we can put ourselves in a great position, Andrew, to make a nice tournament run, to host a home tournament game, which has been our second goal. We originally wanted to win the regular season. That didn't happen. So, but to host a home tournament game is hopefully going to be a significant accomplishment, and one that we're fighting for, and getting to the semifinals is in Conway is just a big goal for us.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about that home playoff game for a while now, so it's right there for you guys, which is fun to see that happen, to talk about something and see it be so close and so, right there for you guys to get. The tiebreaker situation, of course, it starts with your record against the team that you're tied with. Of course, you have the tiebreaker over VMI, which is certainly a plus, and you split with Winthrop and UNC Asheville. Past that, it goes to your best league win, depending on how the standings shake out. So, of course, Coastal Carolina is first and Liberty is second. So Coastal is still out there for you guys to take advantage of. UNC Asheville has a shot at Coastal, and Winthrop has a shot at Liberty, which sits at second. So everything is right there for a lot of teams to kind of, it's what's cool about this whole situation is just everything is going to come down to the final game,
right,
or final two games. It's just you're going to be scoreboard watching on the last night of the season.
Yeah, and the neat thing for us is we can control our destiny. Nobody of those teams tied can control their destiny as much as we can, in addition to UNC Asheville, because we both have a shot at Coastal Carolina. So if UNC Asheville can go and whip Coastal Carolina, and we do, then it goes to another tiebreaker, which would go to Liberty, and then it really gets confusing after that. So what we can do is we can get to 10-8 and beat Gardner-Webb next Tuesday night, a very good Gardner-Webb team, and then beat an excellent Coastal Carolina team, and then let the chips fall where they may. But it's just a lot of fun to be in this position that we haven't been in a few years.
Yeah, you mentioned that Gardner-Webb game, and that is going to be one that I'm sure will be heavy on the motivation, but we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. I do want to go back to the 79-70 win over UNC Asheville last night, which was a fun one for you guys, and maybe get into some of the details of it. And it starts with Jamarco Warren having the night that he had with 31 points, really putting the team on his back like you would expect a senior to do.
Well, in the first half, I think our team played with great effort and tremendous motivation. And I think our team, Andrew, was maybe trying a bit too hard. We were overpassing. We were moving. We wanted to move the ball quickly, but we were making a number of mental errors, and it all came from too much effort and too much trying to win this game, and we were over-trying. Instead of letting the game come to us, we were trying to give UNC Asheville a knockout blow early, which isn't going to happen against great teams. And at halftime, Jamarco was just a calming effect. During our talk at halftime, we felt like we could come back. It was a very calm locker room, a very poised locker room, and that poise had really started with Jamarco. And we knew that we were going to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. We made a slight adjustment. We made two slight adjustments. We took our strong side guard and moved him to the weak side, strong side wing, so that when they trapped our ball screens, we would be able to space Joe Hathan without that guard, that UNC Asheville guard, coming up to be an interceptor. And then our high ball screen, we were setting to the side. We set that flat, so they didn't know which way Jamarco was going to go, and it prohibited them from trapping as effectively. And it allowed Jamarco to get to the rim on both occasions, both from the side and from the top, and shoot 13 free throws. And so he was a big key to it. He's a big key to everything that we do. And, he had a really tough weekend. He had a really, really tough weekend, an un-Jamarco-like weekend, and it was just encouraging to go through that weekend with him and to watch him hold his poise and to watch him learn and grow over that weekend. He and I had numerous meetings, and coming home from Presbyterian, I brought him up to the seat at the front of the bus and just sat him beside me, and we just talked. We talked about how we wanted to shape the rest of the season and our goals, and how important he was in helping to transfer that from the coaching staff to the team, and how important he was to getting our team ready to play, that everything was still on the board. We're still fighting for all of our goals, and he just came out and played just a tremendous, tremendous game, and a particularly excellent second half.
And especially when the turnovers were kind of a iffy situation in the first half for you guys, he was a calming effect there, especially in the second. You went from 16 turnovers in the first to just 7 in the second, and I think a lot of those in the second half were rather inconsequential anyway. So that limited UNC Asheville's ability to get out in transition. It slowed down their offense. You guys got on the boards, back to your old tricks with rebounding as well. I think the advantage was plus 17 over UNC Asheville on the glass. Those two things, you limit the turnovers, you get on the glass, you take control of the offense and the time of possession, and everything seems to flourish from there.
Well, first, great point by you. First, the turnovers. We had 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes, which is poor end game execution. Joe Hathan threw an outlet pass over Matt Kennedy's head. Jamarco came down and threw a post pass that was too high that got intercepted, and Jamarco dribbled one off his foot, certainly on accident, but dribbled. So through the meat of the half, through 18 minutes of the half, we only had 4 turnovers against the tremendous pressure and press of UNC Asheville. So we handled that very well. A second blessing that we've had with the injury of Kelvin Martin, who we didn't even want to talk about, and a big reason why we lost those 2 games at Winthrop and UNC and Presbyterian, we developed a secondary rebounder in Joe Hathan Brooks. He had 37 rebounds, 34 rebounds over the weekend. And 37 rebounds over the weekend. He became a primary rebounder. And he just became a guy that we said, Joe Hathan, you got to go get double-figure rebounds. And so last night, when you add back who I feel is the best rebounder in our league, and Kelvin Martin, and now both of them got 8 and 9, so 17 between them, and that's Kelvin being hobbled a bit, still with his ankle. We were still able to dominate the boards. And then Kenny Mitchell showing his excellent rebounding ability. 11 rebounds there. So between those 3 guys, that's a significant amount of rebounds. And the blessing of Kelvin getting hurt is those other 2 guys have had to not box out and watch Kelvin get the rebound, but box out and actually go get the rebound. And I think it'll help us the rest of the year.
Yeah, we could talk about this for a while, but we do need to step aside here on ESPN 910. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Bracket Buster game coming up on Saturday at UNC Wilmington, and Thomas Odom and Mitchell Dieter on the program a little bit later as well. That's next on the Barclay Radebaugh program on ESPN 910. Welcome back to the Zaxby's in North Charleston. My name is Andrew Algretta. This is the Barclay Radebaugh program. of course, alongside Barclay Radebaugh. So you guys have the Bracket Buster game coming up this weekend at UNC Wilmington. Is it a little bit odd to have this game sandwiched at the very end? I mean, it's a good game. It's going to be a lot of fun, but, you know, I was so geared up for conference play and all the endings, and then
right.
UNC Wilmington.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. The original intent of Bracket Busters was to take the top 22 mid-major teams in the country and allow them to compete against each other to raise their RPIs. So, for example, Wichita State and VCU are among the top 22.
I wonder why you picked those two programs.
Yeah. I mean, that's two big-time mid-major programs, both of them with high RPIs, and the winner of that game is going to get a leg up towards getting an automatic bid if they can maintain their current conference status. It has expanded to 122 teams.
It's like everyone.
Yeah, everyone's in it. Our entire league is in it.
Except for Coastal, I think. Everyone except for Coastal.
Coastal played in an ESPN
they had
tournament.
their Georgetown game early in November, I think it was.
Right. They played in the Charleston Classic, which is an ESPN event, and our commissioner, Kyle Calander, allowed them to play in that rather than to play in the Bracket Buster. So what it does, the only negative of it from my standpoint is we're in a race here, and we would have that Saturday off and a chance to get our legs back, but instead they place a game there. The positive of it is we get to go compete against a Colonial Conference school that in 2 years will bring back a home game to us against UNC Wilmington from the Colonial Conference. When you're talking about mid-major conferences in America, the Colonial and the Missouri Valley are the elite mid-major conferences in the United States of America, and they have a wonderful coach in Buzz Peterson, and he's a good friend of ours, and it's going to be a challenge for us for sure, but it's going to be a game that I know our emphasis is on next Tuesday night against Gardner-Webb, but we're going to go up there and certainly give everything we can to win this game. But we're going to use tomorrow to prepare for Gardner-Webb.
Yeah, you do talk about the Colonial, and just to give perspective on that league, that's the league with George Mason,
correct,
which of course made their very big run a couple of years ago. They made it to the Final Four, correct?
Correct,
yeah.
and they're on a 12-game winning streak.
They're good again.
Yeah, they're good again, and their RPI is 25. So that's the caliber of team that we're playing. And UNC Wilmington last night beat Hofstra, who was 9-6 in fourth place behind George Mason, VCU, and another team from the Colonial. And then you have Hofstra there, right up there, nudged up against those three, and UNC Wilmington beat them last night at UNC Wilmington. So quite a challenge for us, but a fun trip. Thankful that we didn't have to get in a plane and fly to Idaho or Washington or Michigan to play a mid-major there. So we're able to jump in a bus, go to a beautiful city in Wilmington, North Carolina, and able to get back Saturday night at a reasonable hour so that we can practice Sunday and Monday in preparation for Gardner-Webb,
which is in the Buck Dome on next Tuesday, so a week from yesterday. I want to make sure fans come out for that one. I believe the tip time will be 7:30 like usually. Right. So make sure you come on out for that one. Gardner-Webb next Tuesday, big one for Charleston Southern. This is the Barclay Radebaugh program on ESPN 910. So how do you mentally get your guys ready for a game like UNC Wilmington when it is out of conference and everything is so focused on the conference play?
Let me give you some things we're going to throw at them.
Sure.
We've won our 14th game this year. That's the most wins at CSU since 1996. It's an opportunity to get our 15th win. In 1996, they had 17 wins. We can eclipse that mark. If we could win these 3 games and we would tie that and then win a game in the tournament, we could eclipse that mark, and I don't know how much further it goes back to have more than 17 wins. There's a lot motivating us to stay in a good frame of mind, to win on the road. We didn't play well on the road last weekend at Winthrop and at Presbyterian. We were disappointed in that. So let's challenge ourselves to be ready to play on the road on Saturday. Let's use this game as a tournament preparation game. If we win, if we get a home game, then hopefully we're going to advance to a semifinal game where we're going to either be playing on somebody's home court or another team from the Big South on a neutral court. So let's use this to better mentally prepare ourselves to win on the road, which is, I believe, our next step for this program. Our first step was to be competitive, and I think we accomplished that. Our second step was we call it protect our wood, to protect our home court. We're 24-4 in the last 28 games at home. The next step for this program is to learn to win on the road, and that's a big step. 78% of college basketball games that are played Saturday will be won by the home team on average. And so the great teams can go play on somebody else's home court and get out a win. Now, we've gotten 2 or 3 home or away wins, and we've been close a couple times. At Coastal Carolina, a 2-point loss. At High Point, a 2-point loss. So let's see if we can go to a very, very good UNC Wilmington team and compete on their home court a little bit better than we competed against Winthrop and Presbyterian last weekend.
Mitchell Dieter, Thomas Odom next on the program. Our time is done. It goes quickly, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Thomas Odom, Mitchell Dieter next on ESPN 910. Welcome back to the Barclay Radebaugh program, which is now the Mitchell Dieter and Thomas Odom program, which are freshman walk-ons for Charleston Southern. Jimmer Fredette, I think you guys like him, right?
I personally think he's the best player in college basketball. I think Thomas disagrees with that because he's a Dookie. But I personally think Jimmer is the best player that's in college basketball this year. Maybe see what Thomas thinks about that.
Other than Jamarca Warren.
Right, good answer.
Nolan Smith, to me, is probably...
I've heard your allegiances. We could talk about Charleston Southern basketball, and a lot of good things are happening with us right now, of course, with the win over UNC Asheville last night. But I've heard your allegiances waver all over the place. You're like South Carolina for football. What are you?
Yeah, he's definitely a big-time bandwagon fan.
I don't know.
Likes people from all over the country. No solid allegiances over here. I know. I stay in the Midwest region. I'm from Indianapolis. Love the Colts.
Yeah, you're very clean
love
cut
the Pacers,
with what your allegiances
like the
are.
Cubs, and this kid's just all over the place. Can't really figure out where he wants to be from.
How
or anything.
annoying was this kid when Clowney went to South Carolina?
Wow.
Unbelievable. I actually got a text message in class at 10:31 when Clowney made the decision at 10:30 that he was going to USC. There was definitely. I was bitter, but because I've become converted to a Clemson fan somewhat.
That's not in the Midwest.
But
that's all I'm trying to say.
But I was a little bit bitter. But yeah, he definitely made it known.
Chances that Mitchell was the only person you texted.
Doubtful. I texted my whole entire phone book. Make sure everyone saw this.
Probably texted everyone in his family. Kid talks to his family more than any person in the world.
I was
that's
actually
a good thing, though.
on the phone with him at the time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a
celebration.
Was it like a Clowney viewing party for you?
We kind of partied up. I had a conference call going with
You had
my
a conference
brother,
call going.
my best friend, and my dad, and it was a celebration.
We have talked none of Charleston Southern basketball in the first 120 seconds here.
I believe that's your fault.
It is. I've totally led us astray. But
Let's
I'm
go
okay
ahead.
with it.
Let's talk about Charleston Southern. Let's go
How
ahead.
are you guys enjoying your first year?
Oh, loving it.
It's an amazing experience.
Because
I've loved getting to know the guys on the team, just being a part of the program, realizing how different it is from high school. People always tell you that, but you don't really know until you actually get here.
I agree completely. You got to go through it.
what's the biggest thing?
Just a team camaraderie that you get hanging out with everybody, traveling. I mean, it's a roller coaster of emotions, the wins, the losses.
I mean, you guys have never traveled like this in high school, right?
Nothing to this level.
No, definitely not.
How does that change things for you guys, and how much do you enjoy it? I mean, it's a fun time out there in the hotels, hanging out, going to meals, and going to games, and it's a whole – you're a community.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You definitely get closer to people because we've spent every day together since, I think we stepped on campus. So, and definitely road trips, staying in hotels together, going to eat. Like you said, you grow closer as, friends, brothers on the team. We're basically all a family now.
You two aren't roommates, right?
No, we're not. We're
okay.
not.
No, we're not.
Just curious.
I couldn't live with this kid.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Can't live with a Clemson fan.
Oh, man, you guys are brutal. So you're what? You're Colts? Are you like Colts, Pacers?
Cubs.
Cubs.
That's about it.
Yeah. But Pacers are the best in your eye, or Colts are the best in your eye, or what?
Colts are definitely my favorite.
Do you remember this kid when we were in Richmond and the Colts lost?
Oh, yeah, devastated.
Funny times,
It's
right?
great time. Great time.
Funny times.
I walked out of the Moe's.
Yes, you did.
I sprinted out of the Moe's. Almost broke the door, I think, on the way out.
You needed a hug badly, man.
Yeah, I did need a hug. That was a rough time.
All right, we're going to cut it off before this gets ridiculous. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Charleston Southern basketball is at UNC Wilmington on Saturday, and then back inside the Buck Dome Tuesday, 7:30. Make sure you come out for that one, a big-time game. Don't forget to go to CSUsports.com for all of your CSU sports information, and CSUBuckClub.com to support Charleston Southern athletics. Until Saturday, take it easy, everyone.